Shadows cloaked the damp cave, where the chilling echoes of anguished screams reverberated off the stone walls. The goblins were in a frenzy, reveling in the demise of their leader. One goblin, his eyes a furious shade of red, lost his sanity and proclaimed himself the new chief. Yet, another goblin contested this claim, convinced that his own efforts warranted the title. Consumed by jealousy and fury, he lunged at his rival, sinking his teeth into the other's nose. The cave erupted into chaos, with screams intensifying as goblins gathered around, reveling in the spectacle and wagering on the outcome. This pandemonium was their source of delight, a cherished pastime for these simple creatures. Amidst the uproar, they began to plot, whispering about the hidden prey that the former leader had kept a human girl untouched. Some goblins hesitated, wary of a different goblin who guarded her. Unlike his kin, who donned ragged garments merely to cover themselves, he was draped in tattered rags that concealed nearly his entire form, exuding a menacing presence. They feared that with the leader gone, this unusual goblin would claim the girl for himself. They watched him closely, waiting for the perfect moment to seize the girl when the opportunity arose. The clever goblins proposed waiting a bit longer, as their strongest members had gone ahead to locate the prey. They planned to let the strange goblin fight before taking advantage of the chaos to kill him and claim the prey for themselves. However, they didn't anticipate the strange goblin overhearing their conversation. Upon realizing that the girl was in danger, the strange goblin swiftly ran back to her location. When he arrived, he was horrified to find the rebellious goblins ready to harm the girl. Despite the leader's refusal to release her, the strange goblin was determined to protect her. This led to a confrontation, with the big goblin and his henchmen attacking the strange goblin. Despite being outnumbered, the strange goblin fought back and managed to kill the biggest goblin, causing the others to fear him like never before. The strange goblin raised his weapon, his words devoid of any emotion as he commanded them to either leave or face death. The chilling threat and the sight of the giant creature falling quickly sent the other goblins running in fear, shouting warnings of their return with reinforcements. Despite their departure, the strange goblin remained vigilant, knowing that this was only the beginning of the challenges ahead. Kelia, the girl who stood by him, recognized his unique nature and expressed her gratitude for his protection. She hoped he would survive, knowing that goblins typically wouldn't defend a human. Little did she know, the reason behind the goblin's actions was that he was actually a human himself. Just a few days ago, Lamp had tragically died in an accident, only to find himself in a new world with a mysterious system that had yet to fully activate. Despite its seemingly limited functions, Kelia enlightened him on the significance of these stats in a world governed by powerful gods and inhabited by formidable monsters, where humans showcased their dominance through sheer strength. Regrettably, the goblin found himself reborn as the weakest and most wretched creature in existence, with alarmingly low stats that made him an easy target for his own kind. At present, he was at level 5, boasting a mere 20 hit points, 5 strength, and 5 defense, culminating in a total strength of just 30. Fortunately, his name remained unchanged, he was still Lamine. Yet, there was a glimmer of hope for him to grow stronger in this unforgiving world. Goblins had a unique ability to enhance their power through mating, but lacking a female counterpart, they resorted to abducting women. This practice deeply troubled Lamine, a former human, as it clashed with his moral compass. However, the harsh reality demanded strength for survival. Observing Lamine's distress, the girl reassured him not to dwell on it too much. After spending time together, she recognized his distinct nature, one that set him apart from other goblins, and she expressed her desire to escape their company. With a bright smile, she promised that when the knights arrived to rescue her, she would share how he had saved her. The knights, known for their fairness, would surely allow him to live in her village. Her optimism ignited a spark of hope within Lamine. He clung to her words, believing that if he could endure until the humans came, he might gain their protection and eventually unlock the full potential of his abilities. Things didn't go as smoothly as Lamb had hoped. A scream pierced the air, signaling the return of the goblins. Without hesitation, he instructed Kelia to hide, and she obeyed. The first goblin appeared, charging wildly at Lamb, screaming about the presence of humans and its desire to take the girl to become stronger. Lamb quickly dispatched the goblin, informing Kelia that they were here to save her. Kelia's face lit up with joy at the thought of being rescued. Lamb, on the other hand, felt a mix of excitement and concern. The appearance of a knight meant salvation for Kelia, but the knight's effortless defeat of the goblins made Lamb question his own abilities. As Lamb observed the knight, named Lower, with awe, he couldn't help but be surprised by his incredible stats. With a level of 25, strength of 30, and defense of 50, equipped with powerful armor and weapons, Lower seemed almost superhuman in this world. He lifted his sword, ready to end her life. In disbelief, he watched the scene unfold, never anticipating such a swift conclusion. With no other option, Lamp stepped forward, pushing Kelia aside and confronting Lower. He hoped there would be enough time for Kelia to escape. Grabbing his makeshift weapon, Lamp lunged at Lower, an outcome he hadn't foreseen. Yet, even if it meant sacrificing himself, he was determined to protect the girl. This act could be his chance to prove he was once human. But just before their clash, a magical barrier enveloped Lamp, leaving both him and Lower stunned. The magic emanated from a woman clad in white, her aura radiating purity and authority. She commanded Lower to halt, sensing something unusual about the goblin. This woman was none other than the saint, Ephra. Seizing the moment, Kelia crawled over, pleading for her help. Ephra assisted Kelia to her feet and presented her to Lower, who had just moments ago tried to kill her. Then, she turned her gaze to Lamp, inquiring if he could comprehend her words. Trapped within the barrier, Lamp recalled Kelia's words about Ephra being the saint and the voice of the divine temple, his only hope for survival. He quickly affirmed that he could understand her, taking a deep breath as he insisted he wasn't a monster of this realm. He had once been human, transformed by an accident, and he could explain everything if she would take him with her. While Lower dismissed the goblin as merely a bit more intelligent than the rest, Ephra smiled. Goblins were typically seen as foolish and lowly, incapable of coherent thought or speech. Yet here was one who could articulate himself, perhaps a sign of favor from the Holy Mother. Ephra then turned to Kelia, asking her to verify that this goblin had not harmed her. With joy, Kelia confirmed that Lamp had not only spared her but had also protected her from other goblins and provided her with food, which delighted Ephra. She became aware of the peculiar nature of the goblin and decided to return it to the temple for a thorough examination before making any choices. Upon hearing this, Kelia felt a surge of happiness, having kept her promise to the goblin. She then turned to Lambda, inquiring if he would join them. Lamb's face lit up with joy as he eagerly agreed to accompany them. At last, things seemed to be looking up for Lambda, as he found himself in the company of someone who could truly listen and understand him. With a snap of her fingers, EP quickly shattered the barrier that had confined Lambda, instructing everyone to get ready to depart. A sense of safety washed over Lambda regarding his future, filling him with immense gratitude. He approached Efford to express his thanks, vowing to repay her kindness. However, as he studied her face more closely, he was taken aback by a sinister smile. Suddenly, he heard a sound he dreaded, the unmistakable noise of metal slicing through flesh. He instinctively turned away in fear, only to have his worst fears confirmed. Kelia had been slain, her lifeless body sprawled on the cold ground. Lambda stood frozen, overwhelmed by shock. Just when he thought things were improving, it all turned out to be a cruel deception. In that moment, the voice of the woman he believed to be his savior echoed, accompanied by her mocking laughter. She ridiculed his innocence, claiming that his willing obedience was the best way to repay her. Lambda grasped the harsh truth of this world.